Bees are on the hot seat this year. I have a few that come to mind. I'm interested. I have a few. Who do you have, Vish? If you want to go first, or if you want me to go
Tua
first.
Tagovailoa.
Really, you think?
He's one. Drew Lock is two.
I was.
Daniel
Yep.
Jones is three. Those are the three. Actually, I would probably have Tua Tagovailoa third, Drew Lock second, Daniel Jones first. But to me, those are the three with Sam Darnold also in that conversation. Those are the guys I
In the
would say that
convo.
are, yeah, definitely in terms of the hot seat. I mean, we can go through them, right? Tua, it's not just Tua. It's more that Burrow looked very good when he was healthy, and Herbert looks like something really special. Where there's a little bit of pressure. Miami does have a little bit of a win now roster, so there's pressure like that. Then, not to mention their division is quite good when you have the Bills with Josh Allen. They're a really good team. I think New England's much improved. I think people are sleeping on New England with Cam, and then the Jets are seemingly getting better with Zach Wilson, Mike LaFleur, obviously Robert Saleh. So I think there's a little bit on Tua. Like, can he be that type quarterback? Especially when you look at the assets Miami has in terms of being able to make a move if Tua's not that guy, right? If Tua's not that guy, Miami doesn't have to be committed to him because Miami has the ability with the first round picks they accumulated thanks to the Niners Trey Lance trade to be able to go up and get the quarterback that will end up being that guy. So there's pressure on him. Sam Darnold, obvious reasons, didn't work with the Jets. Everything looks really good around him in Carolina. Can you make it work?
Yep.
Daniel Jones finally has a supporting cast, and his real big problem is that he turns the football over too much. And they have a good defense, and they have a good set of weapons around him with
Yeah.
Galladay and Kadarius
Finally.
Toney and Saquon coming back, and their offensive line is better, so there's pressure on him like that. And then finally, Drew Lock, another team in Denver that's really, really stacked. And you look at it and you say, if the quarterback's better, Denver, we would all consider a playoff
Playoff
team because they have a
teams, yeah.
good defense, good, solid offensive line, good set of weapons. And so I think there's a lot of pressure on him. Those are the four.
My first one, Drew Lock. Don't need to really say much more. I think everyone knows why. Especially the fact they brought in Bridgewater, saying they want someone who maybe is a bit better decision maker. Daniel Jones, I'm with you. Year three, it's a make or break year. Either he's going to be really good, and he did have untapped potential that maybe the coaching staff or the team around him was failing, or maybe he is just super turnover prone, and that's just who he'll be, and you can't really advance super far with him. Tua, I disagree with. I know we were a little more critical of him than others. I think if he isn't good this year, like, all right, I think hot seat means if they're not good this year, they're gone. I think if Tua isn't good this year, then he will be on the hot seat. That's why I
Okay.
view Tua. I view his first year as kind of a scratch year. Like anything that looked good, like you'll run with it and take it. But I don't think the team's putting too much stock into how he did his first year,
Because
considering
of the
he
hip.
was rehabbing, considering it was a weird COVID year. Um, they didn't have the best weapons. Their O line is okay, not great. So I disagree with Tua, and I really do think if he's not that good this year, then he will be on the hot seat. Um, I know a couple people mentioned in the comments Kirk Cousins, and I thought this was a
That
really,
I
really great one, and it's one I actually kind of thought of too. Like
Me too.
he's making a lot of money. They drafted Mond for a reason. There was a report that they attempted to trade up for Justin Fields. Now their offer wasn't great, but they're still thinking about quarterback, and they haven't. Kirk Cousins has been not what he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be the savior in Minnesota, and that's what a lot of people look at him as the guy who was supposed to come in, take him from NFC Championship game to the Super Bowl, and he hasn't. And I really do think if Kirk isn't the guy this year, and they maybe go 500 or don't make the playoffs, there will be the hot seat for him and Zimmer, and they might clean house there. So yeah, I agree with most of those. I know someone said Matt Ryan. I don't see that. Um, he
You
said
don't agree with Darnold?
I do agree with Darnold. That's right. I know. I think I want to say they took his fifth year option. Correct. I believe they did take it. Um, uh,
Yes. Someone mentioned Wentz. I think they did take it. If somebody in the comments could confirm that, that would be great. Someone mentioned Wentz. I think Wentz has one more year
Yeah, I
before it
agree. I think
becomes serious.
his like he can perform okay year one or whatever year one.
Yeah, I think Carson Wentz's perception is on the hot seat, but I think given what the Colts have kind of invested in him and given his contract, I think that he's going to be afforded more than 1 year in Indianapolis. Like if he plays bad this year, I don't think things go crazy. I think he gets one more chance. Yeah, we mentioned Sam Darnold.
And then my other one, which kind of interesting, I guess it's not even that hot of a seat, but more of contract reasons, is Roethlisberger. Like I would not be
Yeah, I
entirely
was thinking about
surprised
him.
if he's gone after this year. And I still think he has something in the tank. I really do. Like when he needed to throw against the Browns, he was able to last year. I know they were playing prevent and all that, but his arm looked okay. Their O line definitely isn't doing him any favors for someone who isn't mobile, but I think he's a guy that might really be on the hot seat.
Yeah, I think so. They did pick up Sam Darnold's 5th year option. You were right about that.
Yeah.
They did pick it up, and then I think there's other guys too that you can maybe go down the list and say like maybe a Taysom Hill or a Jameis Winston. Like if they don't show it this year, but then I wouldn't say those guys are like these guys that have started long enough where you would give him that shot. And then Goff, like I think Goff is already like on the seat. Like it's like Jimmy G a little bit in the sense that Goff is literally just bidding his time until Detroit. Like he's not the future of Detroit. When Detroit rebuilds this, I promise
Right.
Jared Goff won't be the quarterback. But yeah, I was also thinking Cousins, honestly. Cousins was the one that really came to mind just because we know how much Grant loves Mond. So we've been exposed to Mond a decent amount. I personally like Mond. I wouldn't say I love Mond. I like Mond. But just the fact that I think next year Minnesota finally can move off of him. And so like I do think it becomes a point where like you mentioned, they paid him and signed him with the expectation he would become that guy for them. And even though he's been really good for them, he's been something less than that guy that, can be that
It's a
consistent
team
top
over the
10
top.
quarterback. Yeah. So yeah.
I wouldn't even say Goff's on the hot seat because, like, I wouldn't even say there is a seat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's zero expectation for him. Like they're in a complete rebuild. I feel like you have to have some level of expectation and show something that a team would seriously consider giving you a contract if yours was up tomorrow. But for someone like
Someone
Drew Lock, he's had 2 seasons. He's only played I think 16, 17 games, but it's make or break. It's either you are the quarterback that you were taken to be in the second round, or you were just not. You were just a better prospect than you are an actual quarterback for NFL standards. And if you can't show it this year, then it looks like your just time is up pretty much.
agreed. Agreed. And then couple people mentioned Carr. I
I
think
don't
Carr
see
played
it.
good enough this year for him to not be on the hot seat. And then maybe some people are mentioning Jalen Hurts. My thing with Jalen Hurts, it goes back to they're not really committed to Jalen Hurts in the first place.
Yeah,
Like they gave him the job, like, oh, okay, Jalen Hurts can start this year. So he's literally he has a nothing to lose type situation. He can become their starting quarterback, but they're not going in with the expectations. Like Locke, Tua, Darnold, Daniel Jones, these other teams have built rosters around these guys where if they don't prove that they're the guy, they got to find another guy to go win. Like there's no other excuse. Philadelphia
yeah,
doesn't have that problem.
yeah. I mean, like if they go like 4-13. I don't think Eagles fans would really be mad. The front office wouldn't be pounding on the table saying we need to trade everything for a quarterback. No, I think their roster is pretty bare bones, and I think that's kind of the main point we're trying to drive on with the hot seat. If you have a hot seat, it's because you have expectations and you're either not meeting them or you're not progressing to what you should be by the perception of the front office. Like I think Hurts and Wentz, like I mean Wentz to a lesser extent, but like someone like Hurts and Goff, like the team is not expecting you to go out and win double digit games, like not even in the slightest bit. So as long as you're not like performing at an all time horrible level and you're showing something of good, then yeah, I think you're not on the hot seat.
And there's no question about whether like the team isn't competed like the team isn't committed to you from the standpoint where like, oh, if you don't perform, it's over for them. Like the Giants are fully invested in Daniel Jones.
Yes.
And they've built a roster around Daniel Jones. And if it doesn't work, then the Giants are screwed. And so Daniel Jones has to perform this year. Same thing with Sam Darnold. Tua to a lesser extent, but similar idea. Lock, they got Teddy Two Gloves, but Teddy Two Gloves isn't the future for anybody,
He's a
right? They
bridge
built
at
a
best.
roster with the idea that Drew Lock would be the future. They basically got an insurance policy in Teddy Two Gloves, but he's not like, like a guy that changes this entire conversation. People like Goff, like tomorrow, if Goff doesn't perform, I don't think the Lions are really going to be sweating it or like, oh crap, Goff didn't perform. Similar thing with Jalen Hurts. Tomorrow, if Jalen Hurts doesn't perform, nobody's going to be sitting here like, wow, can you believe it? Jalen Hurts, like, it didn't work out, all of that. It'll just be like, yeah, Jalen Hurts didn't perform. Eagles roster isn't good, and they'll move on and continue to rebuild.
Agreed.